Team opposition makes a fundamental strategic mistake in this debate when they fail to engage with the context that we present. We tell you, in the current trend, local companies are going out of business and people are losing their jobs to huge corporations like Walmart. We don't see that this is a positive thing. We tell you this is extremely harmful for these communities. In my speech, I'm going to talk about 4 things. First of all, the model. Second of all, I'm going to talk about the issue, sort of practically, of employment and competition. Third of all, the principle of choice. And then I'm going to move into my co-constructive, which is about how we actually provide these unique quality and services that are inherent to local businesses that they cannot compete with other areas of the house. So, first of all, in terms of the model, right? Because we basically told you we're going to restrict whether or not these companies can actually open within these areas in terms of like how far apart they can be. Then team opposition stands up and says, well, if the lobbying power is that strong, then they're not going to be effective in actually regulating that, okay? One response to this, basically, we don't think this is true because at the point where these companies are trying to open stores in these regions, they need to actually have the permit from the government. We think that you can have all the lobbying power in the world, but at the point where we're telling them you can't have that permit, that simply isn't able to happen. Those stores aren't opening. Okay, so then in terms of what we tell you in terms of employment, right? Okay, so what we say from the start of our case is that we actually are able to protect jobs within these local areas. The only thing that team opposition responds to within this debate is basically by saying that they're still going to hire people within these large retail stores. We have 2 responses for why this is not true. First of all, we think that loads of these large corporations simply have a lot of positions that are not going to be filled by these local communities. We tell you that often a lot of store management are going to be people who are being brought with these corporations into these communities because they are already working for the company and they're the ones who are going to be setting it up in these regions. But second of all, we tell you that there's going to be less available jobs simply because of the nature of these kind of retail stores, right? We tell you at the point where someone's working at it, where we have cashiers working, in the local store we see that there's going to be someone who needs to pack a bag, while in those other stores we see that this is happening automatically, for example. But we also tell you that they have a huge incentive to make sure that the costs are as low as possible, simply because they need to make profit that they can show to their shareholders. Something that doesn't exist on our side, because these are simply people who are trying to sustain their own living. We think that that's inherently different, something they have to engage with in this debate. But then second of all, they tell you that there's a huge benefit to competition and therefore creating a sort of innovation. Okay, 2 responses to this. First of all, we don't really see why this innovation is mutually exclusive to putting restrictions on these companies. They tell you, oh, it's great to have these companies. We think to a certain extent that is true, but we think that for various retail stores are still going to compete, even if there's not an H&M on every single corner of one street. We tell you that, for example, Walmart still has to compete with Whole Foods. We think that that kind of innovation still exists under our side of the house, and we think that they fail to explain why it is exclusive to them. But then, second of all, we tell you that actually this innovation is also more likely within these neighborhoods at the point where they're actually able to compete with local businesses. We tell you that that's exclusive to our side because these businesses aren't going to be closing, right? Which basically leads me into my second idea, which is about the principle. Because what team opposition tells you within this debate is that the consumers need to have a certain amount of choice in order how you can actually spend this money, right? We have 2 responses here. First of all, we think that choice is much bigger under our side of the house because we actually have coexistence. At the point where we are not putting restrictions on these companies, as we see in the status quo that is happening, these companies are invading these local communities and stripping them of the ability to be there. Why is this true? Because we see loads of advertising, for example, where they have the amount of money to be on screen every single 10 minutes. Where we see branding, where stores such as H&M become part of the social sphere and attract people to actually thinking that the store is cooler than any other store, even regardless of pricing, right? We tell you that therefore these local businesses are going out of business and becoming bankrupt and are unable to start up in themselves, right? We think that this is problematic because then you don't have that coexistence and you don't have people being able to make that choice of where they actually want to buy their products. And I'll go into that more within my own argument. But Second of all, we see that people aren't really making that choice at the point where they're being manipulated by these large companies by, for example, excessive advertising, where they're constantly being exposed to material that is like going to make them want to go to Walmart even when the products are worse. We think that therefore we provide more choice by having more genuine businesses where they can actually legitimately make that choice. Then we make one more claim, which is basically about how we can't limit the freedom of these companies, right? Okay, so two responses to this. First of all, we think that we limit companies all the time to protect individuals. For example, we already say that we can't have monopolies. We already say that certain companies can't advertise because it is harmful, like for example for smoking. We tell you that therefore we do this in order to protect individuals from the power of these large corporations and to make sure that we don't see money flowing from the bottom to the top, but actually protect the middle class and people working within that. Therefore, we think it is legitimate at the point where we are actually protecting these local communities, something they haven't been able to show us why not. But then let's move into my own construction. But first I'll take a few away.
If the number of KFC shops is less, why is it necessary that all the advertisement is going to be less true and less manipulative?
Well, we tell you at the point where there's less KFCs, it's much more likely for these people to for these local businesses to still exist because they're not absorbing the entire demand of the region. But yeah, onto my own construction. So what we think is that by allowing these local companies to actually grow and able to start up, we can provide the unique quality of services that they actually provide. Okay, so first of all, why are these companies disappearing? We told you advertisement. We tell you branding. But what we also think is extremely important is that these companies often have very vicious pressure tactics. For example, this means that the Walmart might suddenly say that bread is 10 cents for a month period of time, putting the local bakery completely out of business, or giving them the amount of loss in revenue that is crucial to a local business, but doesn't harm a huge store like Walmart at all. But what we tell you is that this is problematic because these companies are actually better for consumers for two reasons. First of all, we think that they have much better quality because they use, for example, local products rather than stuffing their food with corn and sugar. But also they have more accountability, like we presented in our first argument. But second of all, we think that they're simply more personalized because they have a connection with the people within their neighborhood, meaning that they provide more tailored services or the kind of orders that meet specific demands. We think that on the comparative, this isn't possible under their side of the house because these huge corporations are coming in, taking their profit, making it impossible for these companies to start up and keep existing. This means more GMO food, worse quality products food, and the inability for the middle class and the people owning these businesses to exist. We think that that is extremely harmful, and therefore we tell you to vote Team Proposition. Thank you.
The second speaker of the proposition team spent